Well, hey everybody, welcome to Our Watch. Today we are going to answer the question, what do we do with the Jews? What do we do with Israel? As Christians, how do we respond to the questions that are being brought to us in a biblical way so we bring truth into people's lives? So very excited to have you on. If you would, please go and subscribe at ourwatch.com, become one of our watchmen. We'd really appreciate that. Also, share this video with your friends, your family, your neighbors, and get good, truthful information into their hands. We would truly appreciate that. Today, I am very blessed to have two experts on this situation, this topic. What do we do with Israel? The first one is my good friend, Pastor Tom Hughes with Hope for Our Times. Pastor Tom, glad to have you here.
Pastor Tim, great to be back here with you.
Yeah, always a good time. And also blessed today to have Billy Crone with us. Pastor Billy Crone, how you doing?
Hey, doing great, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad that you're here, and really, this is a topic that's so prevalent right now, as you know. What do we do with Israel? How do we respond to this question? So I want to just open it up, and whoever wants to answer first, what do we as Christians do with the Jewish people? What do we do with Israel?
That's a loaded question. And it's obviously a huge problem in the church right now. Replacement theology has been here since the beginning, not the beginning of the Bible, but as soon as the church started to go apostate, replacement theology came in. Catholic Church is built on what we would consider the development of replacement theology with their amillennial teaching. And you find it also throughout the Protestant churches, and it's growing. And it basically teaches that God is done with Israel, and the church has replaced Israel. We know what that means, but a lot of our viewers probably don't. So that is not what the Bible teaches. In fact, the Bible teaches that God has a plan for Israel, and it wasn't just past. It wasn't just back in the book of Genesis. You follow it through. It's linear. It goes all the way to the end. So what's happened within the church, and most pastors, I would say, I think Billy would probably agree with me, most pastors in the West now, not just Europe, but America, teach that God's done with Israel and move on from it. But the prophetic messages regarding Israel and the second coming of Christ are tied together. You cannot separate them, and you have to follow them all the way through the end. Revelation chapter 19, verse 10, the Bible teaches that the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy, and you read that, you'll go, well, wait a minute, if that's the case, then that means all prophecy must be fulfilled. It's all about Jesus. It's all tied to the nation of Israel because it's through Israel the Messiah would come the first time, and it's because of them that the Messiah is going to be coming back. In fact, it's not until Israel cries out for the Messiah to redeem them, calling out for Yeshua, Jesus himself, that's when Jesus is going to come back. But things did not stop. The prophecies did not stop at the day of Pentecost back in Acts chapter 2. It continues all the way through to the very end. And we look at all of the unfulfilled prophecies still regarding the nation of Israel and the return of Jesus. Well, they have to be fulfilled. And if that's the case, well, then God does have a redemptive plan for Israel. And Israel is the key to understanding what is coming.
Yeah, you and I just got back from Israel, had 100 people with us, and it was a great trip. And one of the things that I continued to try and reinforce with the bus that I was on was just the idea that you look around Israel and you can see plainly that God is not done with the Jewish people. You can see that he reestablished them as a nation, that he's been blessing them, that he's been bringing the Jews back. All the things that he said he would do, he's doing, replanting their vineyards. I mean, just what a great time, bringing a whole group to a winery in Cana, but knowing that there's wineries everywhere. Now, God said, I will replant your vineyards. And we're seeing it everywhere. God's hand of blessing, obviously God's hand of judgment will be upon them. We'll see that in the Great Tribulation. But clearly, God's not done with the Jews. Yeah, it was obvious driving around.
Oh, yeah, real quick, and then I'll turn it over back to you and Billy. But bringing up just that one point, Ezekiel chapter 36, God says, I am going to prepare my land because I'm going to be bringing my people home. In other words, we will start to see the land being prepared before the millennial kingdom comes. So, and we are watching that happen already. We were in the area of Mount Gerizim and just had a great time up there. And one of the things that happened since 70 AD is there's a plant, it's a thistle, it's commonly referred to as the widow's garment. It has completely taken over the land of Israel. What's interesting, in 1948, as the Jews officially started to make their way back into Israel, we know the Zionist movement began before then, and as Israel started to plant vineyards and orchards, guess what's been going away? The widow's garment. And it's being taken over by the oranges and the mangoes and the bananas and the vineyards, and they are everywhere. And I find it absolutely fascinating. The land had been desolate. Mark Twain confirmed what Jesus said, the land will be desolate. Mark Twain confirmed it in the 1800s. You go there now, we're just there. The widow's garment is disappearing as the people are coming back into the land, and these vineyards are now everywhere, and the orchards are everywhere. And it's really an amazing thing to see. Also thinking of widow's garment, what was the land of Israel for almost 2,000 years? It was like this brokenhearted land, widowed, and remarkable to see what's happening there.
Yeah, absolutely. Billy, what do you say about this?
Well, a lot of it, the danger of people saying that God is done with Israel is I'd say the first problem that you do is now you are making God out to be a liar. Because you look at the promises that God made to Israel, they're unconditional and they're eternal, right? And so the point is, you really got to think this through, because if you're saying that God is done with the Jewish people, and we know these promises are yet future with Israel, hence we keep saying he's not done. Well, he's not done because he's not done fulfilling all the promises he made to them. And one of them, obviously, is that one from the lineage of David, the Davidic promises, the covenant, is going to rule and reign over the entire world. Now we go, oh yeah, of course, that's Jesus, right? Well, obviously that hasn't happened yet, so it's yet future. But that was a promise that he made to the Jewish people. And if you say God's done with them, then what do you do with that promise? God doesn't keep his promise. And the spillover effect is this: if I can't trust him with his unconditional eternal promise to the Jewish people, then how can I trust him with my unconditional eternal promise in the new covenant as the bride of Jesus Christ? The other thing is, you make mishmash of Scripture. God never contradicts himself, but you create all kinds of contradictions when you just say, nope, let's just remove any future element of Israel. Why do we even have a 7-year tribulation, right? The 7-year tribulation, one of the purposes of it is a disciplinary rod from God for the Jewish people to wake them up to that point that Pastor Tom was saying, that they finally go, oy vey, hey, Jesus was the Messiah, and they call upon him, and that's the good news, bad news. The bad news is 2/3 of them are going to be taken out. That's Zechariah, right? But God's going to sovereignly protect 1/3, because why? He's not done with them. He's got to fulfill these promises, the millennial kingdom, Jesus rule and reign, all that stuff. But that's the purpose of the 7-year tribulation, and that's Revelation. And so if there are no Jewish people, you can't have a 7-year tribulation. Then you go back to the book of Daniel, which is where we first learned about the 7-year tribulation. It's the final week of the 70th week prophecy, right? That is obviously yet future when we look at the context. And it clearly says it has nothing to do with the church. It's all about Israel. It's a time of Jacob's trouble, not Paul's trouble, the church's demise, right? And so you can't have a future 7-year tribulation leading to the return of Jesus Christ at his second coming, the establishment of the millennial kingdom, and then later the great white throne judgment, and then later the final one with the eternal state. You can't have any of that without the Jewish people. So it's a big deal when you say, nope, Lord, just take them out, God's done with them. You make God out to be a liar, which if that's you, I'll stand over here while the lightning bolt gets you, number one. Number two, how can I trust what God says?
Right. Right. And I love that you bring up that rod of correction. One of the things I'm hearing a lot lately is, there's a group of Jews, they're the elitists, they're doing all sorts of awful things. Look at the government of Israel, they're doing some awful things, and I'll give it to them. That's true.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we're critical of the government of Israel and critical of our own government.
Right.
I've often told people that come to me and say, hey, what do we do? Are we supposed to support Israel? I tell them, do you love America? Yeah. Do you support America? Yeah. Do you agree with everything our government is doing?
Right.
No. Okay. Well, there you go. But we still love our country. We still support our country. We'll be critical of our government, hold our elected officials accountable. Same thing with Israel.
Yeah.
But there is a rod of correction. Those Jews that are of the synagogue of Satan, those Jews that are doing evil things, God's going to deal with them. Right. And he's a lot better at it than we are.
Yeah. Well, I always say it all the time. Hey, let God take care of the situation, whatever, even if somebody's against you, even as a born-again Christian, because God dishes out way better spankings than we could ever think of.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So he's a master at it.
Absolutely.
And he knows where to get you.
Yeah, yeah. There's a growing movement, a nationalist movement, an America First movement, and I have to admit I am for that because I believe our government should have our best interest in mind. But with this movement, there's a faction that's arguing that the U.S. should stop support, stop foreign aid, reduce the foreign aid, especially for Israel. What do you say about that, Tom?
Well, I think it's morphed from America First to America Only. And that's what the problem is. And also, here's what happens. People, you're a member of AIPAC. You know, AIPAC is privately funded. It's American citizens who put in their money. It is not the nation of Israel giving money to petition the U.S. government and do whatever they want to do. So that's one lie that's out there. They target AIPAC, the same people, America Only. And they also say regarding funds regarding Israel, they say, look at all the money we're giving Israel. What they never admit is Israel, if I remember correctly, Israel is the only nation that has a particular agreement with the U.S. government for the funds that they get. There is I think it's 75% of the money that they get from the U.S. gets poured back into the U.S. economy to purchase planes, to purchase weapons. And so it's actually a business transaction by the U.S. government to support Israel, recognizing, hey, wait a minute, we're actually boosting the American economy by what we do for Israel. But the whole thing, I mean, there's so many foolish arguments in here too about not supporting Israel when you recognize what people are blind to. The same people, America Only, they seem to be good at opening up the doors to radical Islamic agenda. We look at what's going on in New York. We can see what's happening in Texas right now. And some of the very people that are opposed to us supporting Israel support Islam and all of the evil that they are bringing. Israel has never been a colonizer. Islam has colonized 56 countries by the sword. But these same people will never mention any of those things. So when you look at it, you go, wait a minute, not only that, but Israel also keeps at bay. I was watching two, they were Orthodox Jews, not believers in Jesus. And they both brought up what happens is within Israel, as long as Israel is the focus of these things, then the target from the radical terrorist groups will always be Israel. But as soon as you eliminate Israel from the equation regarding the U.S. supporting them and so forth, then all of a sudden these Islamic nations, they will be able to target the U.S. and the Western world even more than they already are. So it's recognizing the support that Israel gets from the U.S. keeps Israel at the forefront of being the target of the enemy. And they're saying, hey, we're better off keeping it here than having to spread out through the rest of the world, because we can tell right now they're trying to spread it to the rest of the world. They're Islam is, and they're very effective at what they are doing, but it's just absolutely foolish. But it's an America only movement. It's not an America first movement.
Right. That's why I said I agree with the America First portion of it, because I think our elected officials have an obligation to looking out for our best interest first.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we support Israel, that is also looking out for our best interest. We need
totally
an ally in that region, and they are our number one ally.
Right. I would even do, here's a simple illustration. We all fly, and we know we all got to go through those safety things, right? And what do they say? If the mask comes down, put the mask on yourself first so that you can help out others. That's America first. You've got to take care of America first in order to help out others. And supporting Israel does take care of America first. I'm telling you, if we stop supporting Israel, America's done. And I don't think these politicians, either number one, they don't realize it, or number two, they really just hate Israel that much. And they're willing to shoot themselves in the foot in order to destroy the Jewish people or the Jewish nation.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of elected officials that understand our need to support Israel. The sad thing for me is many of them don't know how to articulate it. Case in point, Ted Cruz.
I would agree.
I mean,
totally agree.
What a wasted opportunity. This was several months ago when he did this. But why do we support Israel? I don't know. I learned it in Sunday school. Well, you're a sitting U.S. senator making decisions that affect our nation and the world, and you got to have a better answer than I learned it in Sunday school, and it's somewhere in the Bible. These are things that we need to understand. Why do we support them? What's the biblical purpose behind it? What's the practical purpose behind it? And it was things like that that have really led to, and I'll never forget, because you spoke at my church in May of this year, and I'll never forget what you said. You said, "Mark my words, within 1 year, you will see a rise in anti-Semitism like you've never seen before." And look where we're at today. The Tucker Carlsons of our day, the Candace Owens of our day, and they're breeding more of them. This anti-Semitic, the same old anti-Semitic tropes. I mean, they're pushing a narrative that is influencing a lot of people, and I struggle with this because I have a lot of people asking me this question about Israel, and after I talk to them, what I can tell is their algorithms have hit them. The algorithms they're feeding them this anti-Semitic garbage, and that's all that they're taking in, and they're not pausing to go, what does the Bible say? What do you think? I'll throw this to either of you. What do you think about this very obvious movement of Satan pushing the anti-Semitic stuff through the influencers of our day?
Well, it's obviously that's his agenda, and these are the days we live in. So whatever at his disposal he could dupe people, that's what he's doing. So of course he's using one of the biggest tools to reach the masses for evil purposes: the internet, whatever, social media, you name it, all the above influencers. But you talk about the why should we support Israel? Speaking of that audience, Carlson and Candace Owens, for people to say that America should stop supporting Israel, even with weaponry and things of that nature, number one, I think it's a mask for anti-Semitism, right? Because like we don't give money and weapons to other countries. Why are you picking on just Israel? I think it's really a mask for anti-Semitism. You say, oh, it's for political reasons or economic reasons. No, it's not. Then call in the funding from everybody, right? Why is it just Israel needs to be completely yanked out? The other thing too is, to me, supporting Israel, even with weaponry and things of that nature, it's a moral issue, and that rarely ever gets brought up. Because if you know, and you guys have been over there many times, I've been over there many times, Israel is in a fight for their life. And this is the other thing that the hypocritical American media will not, they never talk about this. You go over there and the Muslim news, they're out there, kill the Jews, kill the Jews, kill the Jews, kill the Jews, which, by the way, they also say the same thing about America.
Right, we're the big Satan, right?
And so the only light in the area is Israel, as you had mentioned, Pastor Tom, rightly so. It's just, man, we got to support them. You remove support from them, they're just taking over the area, and they're coming here next, and they're already coming here. And that's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a moral issue because they're in a fight for their lives, right? And so here you have a country that is surrounded by countries. Just remove the whole religion aspect from it. But they are literally being threatened with murder 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And as Americans, you're just going to let it happen? And so, yes, there's a political element to it. There's an economic element to it, but and a biblical element to it. But there's also a moral element to it. You're just going to let these people, especially in light of what Hitler did, you're going to let these people get slaughtered? And that's Christian? I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it also. And sadly, what's happening is this anti-Semitic rhetoric has really infiltrated our university systems. Yeah. Look at the rise in protests on campuses, these anti-Semitic protests, these pro-Palestinian protests. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Most of these people don't know what river, they don't know what sea. But they're out there with their signs, and also with their LGBT signs, and just talk about uneducated and having no clue how the world actually works in the Middle East, because those two things don't mix in the Middle East.
Right.
They're letting them mix here in America right now.
Yeah.
For right now.
Yeah. Well, right now, until a lot of people, that's the other side of the equation. They don't understand the Jewish people, certainly from a biblical perspective, even as we're mentioned geopolitically, morally, economically, why we need to support them. They have zero clue on Islam. Islam, as Pastor Tom said, they win people not by, as the Bible says, as Christians, they'll know you by your love for one another, and we share Christ. And if they don't, okay, we shake the dust off the feet, move on. They don't win by converting, they win by conquering. And it's a bloody mess, right? And that's what they do. They take over countries, and to get to an eclipse point. And one of their games right now that they're playing is by sheer numbers, mass numbers. And this is what's going on over in Europe. And I was just over there a couple months ago teaching in Oxford on our way from the airport from Heathrow to Oxford. We had to go through London, flat tire, right out in the middle of nowhere. So it's dark, it's night. We were waiting about 6 hours for the guy to show up, and I had to go to the bathroom. So I go across the street down the one block. There was an American hotel there, and Quality Inn, and I go in there and dressed exactly like this. And I'm just looking for a bathroom, and there's the front desk, and the first thing I noticed was, whoa, they're all Muslims. But I didn't care. I didn't think anything of it. I just needed to use the bathroom. I didn't see a restroom sign, so I go around the corner, and big old long hallways like their breakfast nook, tons of Muslims. Oh, by the way, they were all male, right? And so, but again, I still didn't think anything of it, right? And this is a multi-story hotel. So I'm still looking for I get halfway down that hallway, that guy comes, and he, on the shoulder, hey, get out of here. I said, I'm just looking for a restroom. He said, get out of here. Anyway, and so then it dawned on me, oh, praise God for your protection. What a dummy. I didn't know, right? And it was all full of Muslims. Then we learned from the locals there, when we got to Oxford, they said, oh, yeah, that's what the government's doing. They're loading them up in hotels, and it's all nothing but Muslim and Muslim men, right? Yeah. And then when I was pastoring...
At military age.
When I was pastoring in New York, this was in 2011, and cat came out of the bag. A lot of the Muslims there were buying up convenience stores, gas stations, and whatever. And they're very nice to you, very cordial. But the cat came out of the bag. Oh, we're just waiting. We're biding our time. We get an order, you'll see a different side. People think that's a conspiracy theory. It's not. So you look at what they're doing to the Jewish people. They're called the little Satan. America's the big Satan. And then you got all this stuff coming into America, not just the sleeper cells, but now you got all this other stuff going on. And all these, like in the UK that I experienced, London's completely taken over. You do not want to go down there at night.
Right.
We were in there in the daytime. I didn't want to go down there. It's happening to America. So the point is, these people don't know the Jewish people. They don't know the Islam. And Islam, at one point, they will even lie. They are even told it's perfectly acceptable to lie to your face if it advances the purpose of the day. So they're being lied to. Oh, there's moderate Muslims. No, those are the fake Muslims, right? But a true Muslim will always come after you by conquer if they have to. I got stories in Sacramento. One guy converted to Christianity. He goes back home. He's born again. They told his family. They immediately stabbed him in his gut, and then he survived the stab. He ran away, and then they liquidated his bank account and whatever, and he was on the lam. It goes on all the time, right? But that's the other danger of not just not supporting Israel, but what is going on with this Islam element, and what are we inviting in our country, and we're being duped. Right. You don't know Israel, you don't know Islam, and Islam, I'm telling you, is a powder keg waiting to go off. Yes, folks, even in the United States of America.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, just a plug right now, if you're interested more about Islam, you want to find out what is happening in America, in January, Our Watch with Tim Thompson is going to have Brigitte Gabrielle out here. She is an expert on all things Islam. You're not going to want to miss that. We only have about a minute left, Tom. How can my audience reach you? How can they follow all the stuff that you're doing at Hope for Our Times?
HopeForOurTimes.com is the easiest way to follow me, and go there. And I will warn this too, 48 mosques in Texas in the last 24 months. Texas. Yeah. That's not New York, Dearborn, or Minneapolis, or California. That's Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. Billy, how can people follow you?
GetALifeMedia.com. That's our main teaching website. So if they want to get our studies and whatever, they can also download our app, Billy Crone. Just search for my name. They can download that for free. 14 years worth of material they could check out.
And just real quick, you have a new documentary coming out.
Yes, our sequel to Trump and the Stargate prophecies. This one is Trump and the Paradox prophecies. And so, newsflash, prophecy didn't stop just because Trump got into office. And so these are the people act like it. Right. So we're dealing with everything we're seeing that is advancing. And the danger for me is it's in turbo mode because very few are talking about it.
Yeah. Well, Billy, thank you for joining us. Tom, thank you. I want to thank you for tuning in. Once again, go over to our